Roller coasters won't be the only attractions conjuring up screams during the fall at Kings Island. Halloween Haunt comes screaming back this month. Alongside Ryan Sir, I'm merely Don Helbig, and this is Tower Topics.
Tower Topics is a podcast by Kings Island fans for Kings Island fans because that's who we are and that's who we care about. So exciting day today. As of this recording, this is when Kings Island announced what's new for Haunt this year.
They did, and Halloween Haunt, for those that don't know, it's one of the top haunted Halloween attractions in greater Cincinnati. It offers a combination of unimaginable scares, chills, and thrills that can't be found anywhere else. And those new scares for this year being announced, Ryan, what are they?
So a new one is this is going to replace the Chaos Maze. This is Alien Abyss. The Department of Alien Research has been secretly crossbreeding two aggressive life forms. That sounds irresponsible. Their goal to develop a biological weapon in the event of future warfare. When civilians are invited to tour the research compound, something goes terribly wrong. The only way to exit the compound is to move forward. But are they being followed? And what are these new life forms? Where are these new life forms? It's so an alien theme. That's kind of interesting. This is replacing Chaos, which was also an alien theme, but this is in the Area 72 section of the park, which matches the theme of the whole area, where a meteor's crashed and you got Flight of Fear and Orion. So that looks really exciting. It's going to be interesting to see how much is different. Because you're taking a maze and you're retheming it from aliens back to aliens. Well, okay. I don't think Chaos was necessarily aliens. It's more like a lab kind of setting. This is a lab setting with aliens. So it'll be interesting to see what they do because they have to make it markedly different for people to not think they just changed the name, right?
That's right. What else?
Okay, so new scare zone, which is going to be in Rivertown. It's called Abandon. The problem started years ago on the grounds of the newly developed Miami Valley Lumber Company. Men and women, 66 in total, entered the lumber company and were never seen again. At least not the way they used to be. Stepping into Rivertown, outsiders find themselves immersed in a small, mysterious, abandoned lumber village that's haunted by something mysterious. The forest is overrun by supernatural creatures that have riddled their confines with darkness and despair. Are these the lumberyard workers from days past? And which of them are evil? I would say all of them are evil if they're still like poking around in the dark. But that's going to be in Rivertown. I don't think Rivertown had a scare zone last year, so this will be rather interesting. I know that they put the like the vertical poles up that they usually run things in between, and they've got like pallets around them, so it's like a almost like a wooden theme. So that's
You expecting us to go in the area by Mystic Timbers?
I would presume it is because that's where they're starting to set stuff up, and it makes reference to Miami Valley Lumber Company. So it's kind of cool that they're mixing in that theme as well.
Any new shows?
Yes. So we're gonna see the return of Nightwalkers, which makes me very happy because that's one of my favorite haunt shows of all time. But new for the bandstand is going to be Dr. Nightmare. Join us on International Street, the bandstand, as Dr. Nightmare and his assistants test your skills with trivia and games throughout the night. Answer correctly and you might win a prize. Answer incorrectly and your worst dreams just might come true. That's a little extreme, but that's kind of cool.
So we got a new indoor maze. We have a new scare zone. We have a new show.
Right.
What's returning that's popular with guests?
Okay, so I mean, just looking at the stuff that's popular with guests, let's start with the mazes and scare zones. Um, so we're going to see Hotel St. Michelle, which was new last year. That's in the old Action FX Theater building. Everyone has heard about the haunting tales of the old Hotel St. Michelle, but are they true? It's a hotel theme. It's very actually well done. It's very creative. I like how you get through the different aspects of the hotel. And one of my favorite scenes of any Kings Island haunt is when you're walking down that hall and there are doors on either side. So it's almost like a scale replica of like a hotel corridor. And then, the scare actors can open and slam the doors and they can pop out and stuff. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I love that one.
Yeah, that was really neat. They're also going to have the return of Cornered, which is a corn theme maze. It's funny because Corner has been around for 2 decades now, almost, but just in different incarnations. Because before this, there was a Corn one called Field of Screams, and before that, it was help me out here.
Well, there's been a Corn Stalkers
Corn
has been
Stalkers, that's what
around.
I'm talking about. Yeah, so it's had 3 iterations, but the Corn one is often people's favorite, so I can see why they do it that way. But as opposed to making a sequel like they do at Cedar Point, where they have Corn Stalkers 2, which is also a very interesting route. They rename it and kind of give it a different twist on the theme. So basically, it's themed to like ghost hillbillies trying to keep you off their farm, which is kind of scary in itself. Killmart is on the list. That is Kmart themed. I don't really need to go on further than that because Kmart's pretty scary. You go through the different departments and, sporting goods, clothing, so on. I think that's an interesting one as well. It's got some really cool, very large animatronics, which are fun. Madame Fatale's Cavern of Terror, which is inside the old Tomb Raider, the ride building, which is the best part of that thing because you get to go inside that building again, which is beautifully themed. But it's a wax museum theme. Been done it several times by several parks and different other parties. This one's pretty cool. It's got the people dipping the character in the wax, and I've always been a fan of this one. Slaughterhouse will also be making its return. This is Next to the Beast. This is themed to, obviously a slaughterhouse gone terribly wrong, and it's got bloody meats, and it's got Sam the Butcher, friend of the show, going around to scare you. This is actually Slaughterhouse has been around for a long time, but they
Yeah, that's another one of my favorites. I've always enjoyed that experience going through that maze.
yeah, and they moved it from Action Zone. Remember, it was where Chicken Shack is now. And then when they moved it here to a permanent structure behind the Beast, they actually upped the game quite a bit. I think that it's very, very well done. So that's it for indoor zones, but outdoor there's Alien X, and this is going to be near Alien Abyss. It's Area 72, but it's basically a retheme, and it's going to be Darkness Falls, and then the aliens from Area 72 come out and party with you. Coney Mall will be making its return. They've done Coney Mall from the beginning, I believe. It's Maul in this case, but think clowns and bubbles and stuff like that. Always a very passionate group that works in the Coney Mall section. Um, Pumpkin Eater will be returning. Now, Pumpkin Eater, when it was over back by the former Vortex spot, was really good. When they moved it to Action Zone, it's a million times better now because it's a whole little village and stuff. Um, so it's the Notorious Pumpkin Eaters on the prow. It's got the different jack-o'-lanterns and stuff hanging up. It's got just jack-o'-lanterns everywhere. It's all the orange theme. Very, very neat. International Street Fear is International Street, and it's got plague monsters and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Um, and then, like I said, we've got remaining from previous iterations is Nightwalkers. And we could do a whole show on Nightwalkers if we wanted to. It seems like that show is a bit polarizing because it has a lot of like not moving screens, but like moving images on the screen, and it's like super mesmerizing and stuff. And it seems like a lot of people can't handle that. Not a lot of people. I'm saying like 5%, but they're very vocal. But the other 95% are like, I could see the show every day for the rest of my life. I definitely fall in that camp. I freaking love this show. It tells a cool story of when the zombies are trying to get the cheerleader and stuff, and then she gets bitten by them, and I just think it's a great show. What do you think of Nightwalkers? Did you get to see it last year?
I did multiple times. High energy. One of the best Halloween shows that I've seen at the park. So, yeah, I definitely was a fan of it.
Yeah. So Nightwalkers is that's a non-negotiable. You got to go see that. Um, from what you've seen with the announcement, it looks like it's going to be a very interesting haunt, to say the least. Because there are some new things. We went for a while without a new maze or anything like that. So we got a new maze this year, and we got a new scare zone this year. You could argue a new show with the trivia thing. But it seems like enough is going to be different where it's warranted to come back again. If you're not like die hard and you go every year, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and they do a terrific job there with the atmosphere. you have the fog, you have the decor looks great. You've got all the roaming monsters on the street. So even if you're not going to go into the mazes, you're still going to be part of that experience. You're still going to encounter the monsters. There's no way to avoid them. So it's one of those events that once you enter the front gate, you're in it. And it's I think they just do a fantastic job.
Yeah, so I've seen I made mention of this throughout the show, but they've got a lot of the decor up and they've got the skeletons just kind of like stuck on the buildings all down International Street, and I think it's so cool. They've got one that looks like it's got its like finger in the power outlet that's about 15 feet off the ground, which is kind of funny. Um, but I'm a big fan of the decor for Han. I think that they do a good job. It seemed like for a long time there was more and more and more, and then they were like, "This is too much," and they dialed it back. And then it was not enough, and then they worked it back up, and now it's like in that perfect range where it's like it's cool, it matches the theme of the park, it adds to the experience, but it's not like just crap everywhere, you know?
No, I thought over the last 3 years or so that it had gone from quantity to quality. So while like you said, it wasn't everywhere you turned, but what was out there, was very well done. When you look at the decor team there at Kings Island, they're among the best in the industry, and it shows.
Yeah. So of all the existing mazes that I just read off, and obviously you can't mention, the Alien Abyss or anything like that. What's your favorite one of all the mazes?
Of the ones, Hotel Saint Michelle,
You like that one the best?
it's long, yeah, long, themed. I'm a big fan of storytelling attractions. So it tells a story. So that's my favorite one.
Yeah, that's a good
What about you?
choice. I would concur with that. I really like that. Like I said, my favorite part of Haunt last year was Nightwalkers. My favorite maze was definitely Hotel Saint Michelle. I thought that was like a step in the right direction for the Haunt stuff. I mean, because it's like there's a lot of effort that goes into like building a hallway with doors and all that stuff, and the fact that it's not painted black walls that go left and then go right and so on, that so many haunted houses are. Uh, I
Yeah,
think it's cool.
each room there was well thought out. And everything ties into the story, and that's an attraction that you do want to repeat if you can on a haunt night. They're all good, but that's the one to me that was my favorite.
I think that's the only one that I did more than a few times. Like I did it every time I went, I would say. Um, because for a lot of these, especially the ones that have been around, like once you do them, you done them. And that's true for any haunted house. But that's the one where every time I went through, I noticed something else that was really really cool. You know,
Yeah, and the thing about Halloween events, and not just specific to Kings Island, but for me, I think just the atmosphere that you set up and having all the roamers, the scare zones, out throughout the park. I think that really adds to it. So you don't have to go through any of the indoor mazes to have a great time, and then to get scared because those monsters are out there, on the midways, lurking in the shadows, ready to pounce.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, so Halloween Haunt's coming up at Kings Island and Search September 23rd. Is that what we determined? Can we make that determination on their behalf?
It looks like it on that. It normally is that week in September, and
No,
the one thing though,
I take that
just to
back.
make sure that everybody,
So
what's the
I
date
want to
I'm
make
thinking
sure I
of?
make this correction before we get too far. Select Saturdays, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays, September 22nd through the 28th, not the 23rd.
Okay,
So I guess the 22nd is the
the
Friday.
22nd. Okay,
Okay, but
okay.
anyway,
But the one thing we want to make sure everybody knows is Halloween Haunt. It is intended for mature audiences, not recommended for children, under the age of 13. So if you've never been to the event, don't expect it to be the Kings Island that in the summer months. So it is intended for mature audiences, and take that into consideration before you go with the young ones.
yeah, it's definitely more of an adult-oriented event. Uh, so yeah, so Halloween Haunt, September 22nd through October 28th. Friday, Saturdays, and select Sundays at Kings Island. I'm Ryan Sir, along with Don Helbig, and this is Tower Topics.